Our final keynote of the day is Claudio Ferreira. Now, Claudio is the head of digital for a company called Teknion. Teknion is one of the largest global custom B2B furniture manufacturers. They serve Silicon Valley tech behemoths, who shall remain nameless, otherwise Claudio is going to come after me, and other cutting-edge companies with very modern office furniture design. With Claudio's work, Teknion has truly transformed how it goes to market, how designers and architects work with them to serve customers, and their Sitefinity digital presence is at the center of all of this. So please join me in welcoming Claudio Ferreira.
I will take that. Hello, I'm Claudio. I lead Teknion's corporate digital marketing effort. And in the department that I lead, we're both the content creators and the administrators of the technology that distributes that content. And Teknion, as Lauren mentioned, manufactures furniture. We're a family of brands. We have a diverse portfolio of office furnishings, including workstations, seating, accessories, executive offices, meeting spaces. We do textiles. We do architectural interiors, which are demountable walls and storefronts. And we do everything custom built to order to support workplace wellness and the complex needs of the world's largest companies. With Enginus as our CMS partner, a little shout out to our partner, we're entering our 5th year as a Sitefinity customer. And I'm actually very excited to say that as of yesterday, we are officially on 11.2. Yeah, just happened. Yeah. It's applause to you guys. We're also an OpenEdge customer, but don't ask me anything about OpenEdge. You could bug that guy right there, David Gao, in the audience. He will love that about OpenEdge. I'm going to highlight some projects that we've completed or are on the verge of completing with Sitefinity at its center. So since we launched or became customers with Sitefinity, we've launched 6 major websites and a whole slew of microsites. Those websites automatically are customized to the client's IP address. So we do 10 different geographic regions. The product offering changes, the pricing changes, a lot of the imagery changes. They're offered in multiple languages. There are login states. There are various permission levels for those login states. They're SAML authenticated. We dabble in e-commerce, and we're using the shopping cart tech to simplify some of our business workflows. We also, in our department, designed the interfaces for the product, and so we use Sitefinity to serve up that content. Think, what happens on the other side of a QR code, error reports, how-to videos, etc. We've also put in place a whole bunch of APIs, including a digital asset management system called Binder, and that's really allowed us to decentralize how that content is managed and consumed. And we've also employed APIs like Sketchfab, which are behind me right now, to do real-time visualization of our product for the folks who want to learn about it or specify it, etc. Our latest project is cumulative of all these efforts. We call it MyTeknion. It's an internal intranet, and it's a hub for dealers, for sales, for operations, marketing, training. It was a 3-year-long project. We completed it about a year ago. It allowed us to sunset about 30 different business apps. It's really digitized our process, and we're at about 10,000 internal users for it. Volunteer users. And the pages are built dynamically. So they're customized for each user based on what they do for a living, where they are on Earth, etc. And as you can imagine, our world is very custom, so our product is complex and it all needs to be visualized. We are a very content-heavy industry. And so MyTeknion allowed us to crowdsource from 150 different contributors across the organization and geographies. In 1 year, we've amassed 500,000 modeling symbols. So these are 3D models, CAD symbols. Those symbols have 4 quadrillion permutations. We've amassed 20,000 pricing and specification info files. And those are usually in the PDF format, but we've used a plugin for Elasticsearch to make that deeply searchable in funny, logical ways that our people like to search things in. We've amassed 25,000 sales support files, videos, presentations, tech specs, white papers, curriculum content. And maybe what I'm most excited about is we've amassed 22,000 product images, and the majority of those images are renders or photos created to visualize or to tell stories about our client spaces. So the furniture that actually went into the space, and not just the stuff we designed. This is the front-end interface for this imagery. So the user checks off a couple of filters, just like, let's say they were shopping on Amazon. So it's a familiar user interface. The files are tagged with metadata. Pardon me. The files are tagged with metadata. The tags control where, when, who can see the files across various web properties, geographies, etc. And these files were previously dying on hard drives, and we finally got them into one central location this way. So we made them easy to consume, but just as importantly, we made that data easy to input for our managers. We try to find familiar, low-effort ways, like the user just drags the file they want to upload into the browser, checks a couple of checkboxes, and it automatically goes in all the different spots it should go. Or we use familiar formats, like the user inputs content into a spreadsheet, and that spreadsheet then informs all the information that needs to be filled out. And it worked. We got all this unstructured data out of wherever it was living, and we were able to structure it inside our one umbrellaed place. And when that data started coming in, we started thinking, could we mine some organizational change with this data? So behind me are the top-level tags associated with this image data. They also have some children underneath them, but for this sake, we'll just look at the top level. And the tags are centrally controlled by corporate marketing, so it's in one place. And that way, when users are uploading content, they're all speaking the same language, and we don't care how hard you worked on something or how much you loved something. If we don't have a place for it, we don't want it. The first worry of our project, because it was a large project, was, are the files going to be up to date? Are people failing to contribute or contributing too much? Or are they not editing for quality? And so we were picking these highlighted tags behind us to figure that out and to measure that. And then once we became a little more comfortable with the project and the project was a success, we started pinging for tags related to measuring the value of the data. And we have this infamous video that got created where we were so drunk on ourselves about this video. We were so happy with our work. We thought it was going to be amazing. We had this idea of even turning it into VR and having people wander around the showroom space while standing in the physical showroom space, which made no sense, bumping into things. Turns out, no one downloaded it. No one used it. And we finally had non-anecdotal evidence to back that up. So we haven't repeated it. At the third level, and maybe most exciting, is we've been able to start using this data to actually influence some of our product development. So things like, which customizations of products are more likely to win a bid, which markets, which industries. And behind me, I want to share this use case with you. This is a product called Upstage. It's one of our newer products. This is its design intention at initial launch. So this is what it was supposed to look like. And it was meant to be residential and look and feel, open concept, airy, not stuffy, not a cubicle, very collaborative. It was meant to embrace finishes, colors, be young and fresh and cool. And it was meant to speak to those architects and designers that we are meant to influence. So we thought we did our homework. But then it was so slow to sell out of the gate. And so we started looking at these client images, and we realized that even though we meant Upstage to look like this, it was being specified into our client spaces to look like this. So it was bulky, and our clients were saying, well, we need storage, we need visual privacy. And so we said, okay, we hear you. So our industrial design team took the input from the data, and they redesigned Upstage to look like this. So maintaining the airy aesthetic, adding the storage and visual privacy, but using those quantifiable learnings to really move forward that product development. Here's another. If you were saying privacy, wall me in like I'm a cubicle from the 80s. I don't want to see my neighbor. Frankenstein a whiteboard to that tall storage spot. Affix a big screen panel to that table surface. I don't want anyone to know where to find me. So we said, okay, what if we did this? We'll give you the privacy, so we'll cover all your eye level points, whether you're standing or sitting, but we won't erase you from your coworker's memory, and you can still have a beautiful space. So in phase 2, our Upstage product now looks like this. And Upstage and its kit of parts went from being one of the least sought after products at Teknion to top 5 leading Teknion products in a lot of our markets. And that's because we took unstructured data, structured that data, turned it into richer information to get quantifiable findings that inform business decisions. So what's next for Teknion? My next year is focused on visualizing, configuring, and personalizing both the content and the methods by which that content gets to its users. And I'm embarking on these projects with some lessons that I've learned. And the first lesson, we've all heard that content is king, is that content needs to offer consumer value. It needs to tell stories that the user wants to hear, and it needs to be flexible in its use. So flexible in its use, meaning it could easily be split into pieces for social, for web, for print. We've started moving a lot of our videos to be recorded in a vignette format, so you could take the individual vignettes and use them as self-contained snippets, let's say on shorter play media like social media. We started using stop motion, so our how-to videos are done in stop motion, and that's helpful because you can scale back the frame rate, make everything into sort of robot, and then you can make mistakes and just delete the mistakes and no one notices the mistakes are even there. Or you can replace a chunk of the video with an updated part if the product is now out of date. We've also started thinking a lot about viewports, finally. So it sounds really basic and simple, but if you're gonna take a picture or video, just take 3 steps back, right? And now you can take that video and you could crop it because you got the extra space, or you take that picture and crop it to fit inside any div or viewport or device. Think about the way Instagram has done stories now, and it's a vertical video format. A lot of our video wasn't useful for that. Here's another way we've been playing with content. So here's a new product that doesn't have a name yet. We show it here in peaceful, soft, natural hues, kind of a conservative look. But when we bring it to social media, we're going to punch it up, energize it, so that it feels more like a startup culture product. Here's the same product in some calming, nature-inspired design cues. But then we're going to add millennial pink to it and make it super Instagrammable. So the second thing I've learned is you have to take that content and filter it through a strong digital team that translates that content to digital consumption for average humans. I believe content managers are humans too. And so people generally want to do good. They want to show off their work. And you have to give them familiar, low-tech ways to contribute so that you can get their adoption. Here's an example of a site that we're about to, or actually a site we're about to build, but it's going to blow up a bunch of other sites. We have all this installation and training content. We have this army of installers out there putting our furniture together in client spaces, and they're occasionally failing to read instructions, but we haven't made it very easy for them. They get their instructions off a desktop-only site, and these enormous PDFs with like dense schematics. So we're going to blow all that up, and we are going to make it mobile, and we're going to make it very visual, and we're going to use a lot of video. And maybe the most important and simplest part of the entire project is we're putting all those videos on YouTube, because that's the easiest way someone can consume that data is on their phones, and everyone can just look up a playlist. Another is we're doing a lot of real-time configuration in 3D. So this is all happening inside a browser. It is tied to both our database for pricing and for the swatches and textures. It is also using Sketchfab to actually render this in 3D. And a lot of our people that we interact with don't have CAD readily available to them or don't know how to use CAD. So this helps to teach, budget, simplify that decision making. When I get back, the first meeting that I have is with a client who's pixelated here to talk to them about a bespoke client site. So we are looking to systemize how our clients interact with us, really give them a completely custom experience, custom resources, workflows, etc. They don't have to go to Teknion.com. They each get their own site. And they can phone us less and self-serve at whatever time in the morning they choose to. And I'll share one last project. We're playing with some new tech in collaboration with a company called Matterport. This is 3D camera technology. So nothing here has been rendered. You bring your 3D camera in on a tripod, you hit a button on your iPad, the camera does a little spin around, it takes all the geometry of the space and photographs the space, and then you move it to the next location. And very quickly, without any high-tech know-how, you can get a space completely rendered out to show your clients or use it for storytelling or training. We have the CMS Progress Sitefinity at the center of this thing, so you can click on all these dots, you can get more info, you can go to a website, you can see more content, galleries, videos, etc. And so the last thing that I've learned is in order to get the first two, you need a strong technology team that supports security tools, cloud-based integrated infrastructure. It's probably a lot of people in this audience. I'm so sorry that we only call you when things go wrong. We should be bringing in our information technology people early, give them context, really bring them into the strategy inception level. Be besties with your IT department. They will enable you to do great things. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudio.